Hello there. I want to talk a little bit about putting together like a little automotive fishing kit. Uh, there are a lot of times when I'm out doing other things that I might have a little bit of time to maybe do some fishing, but if I have to drive all the way back to the house to pick up my gear, then it's not worth messing with. But if I had a little kit in my vehicle that I could grab at a minute's notice, and just maybe if I wanted to do something like worm fishing, stop by the 7-Eleven and grab some worms, something like that, then I could just take a rod and a small tackle box loaded with a variety of inexpensive lures that would allow me to fish multi-species, okay, and a rod like in this case what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this is a Shakespeare Ranger rod. It's an old 80s Shakespeare rod. I believe they are IM6 graphite. It's not marked anywhere, but I believe when I bought it that's what it said. It's a 6-foot medium power, and it's got what Shakespeare called a fast action rod, and it is. I can feel plenty of backbone, but it's also got some give to it. And what I've got is I've got this. It's a 2-piece, so if I want to separate it so that I can put it in my vehicle and it will take up less space, I can do that. But I've joined it to an Abu Garcia Cardinal 35, also from the 80s or the 90s. I believe this is 90s, but it might be late 80s. And this has got 8-pound Zebco Omniflex line on it. And it will do like a jack of all trades, master of none. Depending on what I want to throw, I can throw, or what I'm fishing for, I can throw everything from the little 1/32 ounce jig heads with a plastic grub or something like that on it, all the way to full out Texas rigs with lighter stuff, not like a half-ounce worm sinker and a big 7 or 8 inch or 10 inch worm, but I'm talking like 1/8 ounce or 1/4 ounce worm weights, and like a 5 or 6 inch worm with a 2/0 or 4/0 EWG or straight worm hook. And this will do all of that. I can catch, and if I set my drag properly, I can catch all of those fish and have a lot of fun doing it. I could also take this and put a decent hook and some weight on it, and a worm or a chicken liver or a cut bait, and throw it out in the river and catfish with this as well. You don't have to have anything special to catfish, particularly in this area. Now, if you're in an area where you typically get like 4-foot catfish, things like that, 60 pound catfish and stuff and above, you might want a little bit more. But I've brought in 30 some odd, almost 40-pound cats on this rod and rods like this over the years, and I don't have any problem doing it. You have to learn how to use the rod within its limitations for what you have on the end of that line, my humble opinion. But anyway, that would be the rod that I'm going to be carrying. So you'll probably see this in future videos quite a bit. I'm having difficulties right now because the high for today is 30, and I think the low tonight is supposed to be like 16 or maybe even 12. I have to check again, but somewhere like that. So we're cold, and the fish are not as active, or they've gone to deeper water, and I need to find them once too. So I thought that I would do this video and kind of talk about this a little bit. So, because when, I get opportunity, I want to be able to. What it is, I've got this little shoulder pack, basically, is what it is, a shoulder bag. And it has 3 small little boxes in it and a couple of pouches on the side. So what I've got these 4 boxes here. And the first box, I can't find the first box has got 1 32nd ounce jig heads and 1 16th ounce jig heads and 3-inch grubs in a couple of different colors. And then I have little 2-inch grubs and little tubes and little sort of panfish assassin type 2-inch plastics. These are cream or creme, however you want to say them. So I have a variety of, I can throw the 3-inch on the 1 16th ounce, either just on the jig or little beetle spin type spinners. I can put the 2-inch on the 1 32nd ounce and do the same so that I can cover bass or panfish. I've even got my little floats if I want to mess around with that. So this is basically set up for either bass or panfish, and I have these hooks here which I would use alternately for worms, for panfish or catfish. You don't need a big huge hook for catfish, particularly channel cats, because their mouth is not that big. So, and then I have a small little inline spinner. This is a Caliber, made in Italy. I think it is a very old one. There, it's sort of like the Panther Martins. It's got a single hook. I don't know if I can show it to you or not, but if you see here, there we go. So you can put scent in that. You can put, see, it closes up. You can put a rattle in that if you wanted to. This is an old lure I've had for a very long time. I even can't remember where I bought it at. But I have that. I can fish the small little panfish for that, but they will also hit the larger. These are the Ozark Trail. They're like $1 a piece. These skirts don't last very long, but that doesn't have a skirt on it. The Panther Martins usually don't have a skirt on it. So these smaller 1 16th ounce ones, I can fish panfish for. Panfish will even hit these bigger 1/8 ounce bass rooster tails. So that'll cover a multiple species. Then I have a couple of 1/8 ounce worm weights. I need to get some more of those. And some 2/0 extra wide gap hooks and a couple of spinner baits. I'm going to exchange these for willow blades at some point, but for right now those will do. So I've got bass and panfish covered here, and those, truth be told, these inline spinners, everything hits those. So that's one of the very most versatile baits that you'll ever use. And so with the worm hooks and the worm weights. In the side pockets, I have plastics. So this is an Ozark Trail, basically a fluke style bait. These little claws are real cool. You could put, they're hollow inside, sort of like a tube jig. You see, there's a, this one's pre-rigged. I've got a little 16th ounce, basically weedless crawl that I can fish. And then of course some plastic worms, so that these are like a ribbon tail, and this is like the little curl tail or U-tail or whatever you want to call this. And they will, I can Texas rig and bass fish with these no problem. And also I have over on the other side pocket, let me get it out, 8-pound test line, because this is a automotive kit and I won't be bringing it in and out of the house, so when the line gets low from using it over time, I have line here to replace it, and I can do that on the side of the river if I need to. And then lastly, what I have is some crankbaits. Ozark Trail plug. These are some very old, I think they're bombers from the 80s or 90s. This one and this one. I'm gonna have this one, I forget who makes this. I believe it's like a Cotton Cordell or somebody like that. Square bill. Square bills are pretty much my favorite crankbait. And then of course I have some cheap little minnows that generally what I would do, well, they're hard jerk baits. I'd use them either as a jerk bait, or I would set them on top of the water and let them float and just twitch them in the evening times. And a lipless crankbait with a rattle. That's an Ozark Trail. All of this in a very portable package that I can throw over my shoulder, grab my rod, and fish whenever I feel like it at a moment's notice. It's not my favorite gear or my best gear, but it is kind of a do-it-all setup. Now, I will probably be adding a couple of lures to this kit. I want to add a chatterbait. I probably want to add maybe some a creature bait, probably Christy Craw. That's my favorite creature bait. That kind of deal to it. So that's basically my automotive kit, and it will serve, there's everything that you would need in this bag to catch pretty much any kind of fish I want to fish for. And I won't be wishing I had this or wishing I had that. I've always got a pocket knife in my pocket, and so I'm ready to go. I've got line, I've got lures, I've got hooks, I've got the only thing I might add to it is some like 1/2 ounce sinkers for catfishing, casting sinkers, stuff like that, later on. So thanks for watching. Bless you. And here's looking forward to the weather warming up so I can get out on the water again. I know you guys miss it. So do I. I might actually do like a compilation video of some of my favorite catches of this past year to put up while we wait on the weather to warm up a bit, because I don't need like spring. if the weather will chill out and be around 35 or 40 degrees and the wind would go away, I'll throw worms or cut bait or something like that out into the middle of the Shenandoah River and catch fall fish and catfish. So, bless you, and thanks for watching. I'll talk to you later.